Welcome to Nightmare Story. I'm Lucas, your guide through the shadows. Here the night is quiet, but never safe. Close your eyes, breathe slowly, and follow me into the places where forgotten footsteps echo and old fears wake beneath the darkness. This is where sleep meets terror. Are you ready? Tonight we slip into a story that feels older than your bones, older than anything you've ever whispered into the dark, older even than the dust gathering under the bed you keep meaning to clean. You stand in the present, right here, right now, but the air around you feels like it has been waiting centuries for you to arrive. A soft chill brushes your arms as you picture a journal, leather cracked, pages yellowed, a faint scent of smoke clinging to it like a warning. You don't know it yet, but this thing you're about to touch has written far too much about you already. And honestly, you probably won't survive this. But hey, we're going to glide into it gently, like responsible adults acknowledging the danger, but walking straight toward it anyway, because curiosity is stronger than common sense. If you genuinely enjoy my stories, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. Let's ease into tonight's journey together. The gravel crunches beneath your shoes as you walk toward the old cabin. Yes, the one everyone in town claims doesn't exist until they accidentally drive past it and then pretend they didn't. You're pretty sure the GPS brought you here by mistake, or fate, or because it's a free app and you get what you pay for. Regardless, the whispers of tall pine trees guide you forward, their branches leaning a bit too close, as if eager to watch what you're about to do. You push open the wooden door. It gives a groan, dramatic, theatrical, like it practiced that sound for decades just to impress you. Inside, the cabin is a single room, dim and still, dust gently twirling through the leftover shafts of late afternoon sunlight. You breathe in the scent of old wood, old air, and something faintly metallic. The sort of smell that makes you wonder if you should have left a note telling someone where you went. Your eyes settle on the object on the table. A book. No, a diary. It's not fancy. More like something someone carried everywhere, flipped open 100 times a day, scribbled in until the margins disappeared. The leather cover bears scratches, long and deliberate, not chaotic, almost like someone carved the same line over and over while thinking too hard about something they didn't want to write down. You lean closer. The diary has no title, no initials, no clasp, just presence, a concerning amount of presence. You touch one fingertip to the cover and immediately feel warmth, like the sun has been resting on it all afternoon, even though the room feels cold enough to goosebump your shoulders. The book opens without you meaning to open it, as if it has been waiting for your hand. As if it knew which moment you touch it. The first line on the exposed page is written in ink, so dark it almost glows. You step into the cabin, brushing dust from your sleeve. You blink, then look at your sleeve. Yeah, you literally just brushed dust from it. You laugh, awkward, nervous, slightly offended at the invasion of privacy. Maybe this is a prank. Maybe someone found your social media and realized you're the type who would wander into a suspicious structure in the forest. You tell yourself you're not predictable, but here you are, proving them right. You read the next line. You hesitate, unsure whether to keep reading. Exactly what you're doing now. The diary is 2 for 2. The air thickens around you, the way air always does right before something you'll regret. A soft hum threads through the cabin, like the foundation itself is listening. You tell yourself to put the diary down, walk out, go home, eat a snack, do literally anything else. But no, you're committed now. Your curiosity is at full power. You turn the page. The entry continues, not as paragraphs, but as sharp little sentences, almost like it's narrating you, a play-by-play. You shift your weight to your left foot, which you do, of course. Your heartbeat quickens. Yes, thanks for noticing. You lean closer. Stop calling you out like this. You run a hand through your hair in a half-annoyed gesture, and almost immediately, you run your hand through your hair, pretending you're still in control. You mutter something that is definitely not profanity, because we're keeping things PG-13, but the vibe is absolutely there. You take a step back from the table. The diary doesn't write anything about it, at least not immediately, which is somehow worse. Like it's considering its next words, like it's choosing whether or not your step back even matters. A slow breeze slips through a crack in the wall, cool, deliberate, brushing the back of your neck. You glance behind you on instinct, but nothing moves, not even the dust. You look back at the diary. New ink appears across the page. You watch it form letter by letter, smooth as water spreading across the surface. You turn around, expecting someone there. But you find nothing. You always find nothing. You always will. You swallow hard. The diary is writing about you in real time. You check the back of the page. No mechanism, no trick pens, no weird heat-reactive paper. Just ink that materializes when it wants. The handwriting is elegant, practiced, the kind of script someone uses when they want their words to outlast them. You whisper, "Howl," and then stop. Because the diary writes. You whisper a question, but you don't really want the answer. Okay, fair. Annoyingly accurate, but fair. You run a thumb along the edge of the book. The pages feel soft, worn, but not fragile, not crumbling like something abandoned in a cabin for decades. They feel used, handled, recent, which is impossible. Your breath fogs slightly. You're not imagining the cold this time. A little joke slips through your mind, something about how you should have brought a sweater or maybe at least one functioning survival instinct. But the room feels too focused on you to laugh. Still, the thought comforts you enough to keep reading. The next line appears more slowly, like the ink is heavy with meaning. You are not the first to read these pages. You will not be the last. You exhale quietly. You do like how vague that is. It's the kind of statement you hear right before terrible things happen in documentaries you definitely should not be watching alone. As you stare, more words seep onto the page. But everyone who opens this diary finds the moment of their ending. Your pulse spikes. You take an involuntary half step back. The diary does not describe that step. It simply waits. Silent. Watching. You consider closing the book. Pressing the cover shut feels like reclaiming some tiny fragment of agency. But you don't, because a new line blossoms across the page before you can touch it. You won't close me. Not yet. A deep, uncomfortable quiet falls over the cabin. Then another line forms. Your ending has many possible shapes. You want to see which one is written for you. You feel a shiver travel down your spine in a slow, thoughtful curve. The diary knows you better than you want it to, maybe better than your best friend, maybe better than you know yourself at this exact moment. Still, you force in a deep breath, grounding yourself for a moment. You are here, in your body, in this creaking cabin that smells like wet pine and secrets. You can walk away. You tell yourself that again, even though you already know you won't. Soft dust swirls around your ankles, guided by a breeze that doesn't seem to come from anywhere. The trees outside shift, whispering things too low to hear. You turn the page, and the diary begins to describe something you have not done yet. You walk toward the far corner of the cabin, where the light doesn't reach. You lift the loose floorboard. You find the first clue. You stare at the corner. The shadow is thick, impossibly thick. Your heart gives a stubborn thud. You whisper, "I'm not doing that," which is a lie, and the diary knows it. You want to see whether the prediction is real. Slowly, step by step, your feet carry you toward the corner. You hate that the diary is right. You hate that you're proving it right. You hate that something about this moment feels rehearsed, as if you're performing a script someone else wrote long before you arrived. The darkness deepens, cool and heavy, a shadow that seems to breathe. You crouch, your knees protesting slightly, and run your hand along the wooden floor. The boards here are scratched, worn, like someone else knelt in the exact same place. You feel the edge of a loose plank. Your pulse trembles. You lift it. There's something beneath it. And before you can even see what it is, the diary writes. You find the object that should not exist. The object meant only for you. Your breath catches. You lean in. Your fingers hover above the hollow space beneath the floorboard, the air rising from it colder than the rest of the cabin. Colder in that way that suggests it hasn't been touched by daylight, warmth, or optimism in a very long time. You hesitate, and naturally, the diary wastes no time in calling you out because new ink scrolls across the open page behind you. You reach for it. You can't help yourself. You mutter under your breath, something PG-13 but wistful, because yes, of course, you reach for it. Curiosity has you by the collar, dragging you forward like a sitcom character who refuses to learn from previous episodes. Your fingertips graze something wrapped in cloth. Soft, breathless, too carefully preserved to be accidental. You pull it out. The cloth is deep brown, the fabric older than the diary itself, edges frayed in a way that suggests many hands have opened and closed it, and none of those hands had a good time. You sit back on your heels, the wooden floor groaning underneath you like it's trying to warn you, or like it just ate something disagreeable. Hard to say. You unwrap the fabric slowly. Inside is a small metal key. At least, that's what your mind wants it to be. But it's not shaped like a door key or a drawer key or any key you've ever seen. It looks almost symbolic, carved with strange curves that make no logical sense, like a shape from a dream you never woke up from properly. The metal is cool to the touch, but not cold. Smooth in places, jagged in others, like it was broken from something larger. You lift it toward the faint light. Immediately, the diary scribbles. Do not hold it up. Not unless you are ready. You freeze. Midair. Key suspended between you and whatever universe this thing came from. You lower your hand gently, because even if the diary is being dramatic, you prefer not to trigger any cosmic self-destruct mechanisms during what was supposed to be a casual forest stroll. You glance back down at the object. Now the key feels heavier. You don't know if that's physical weight or the weight of the fact that the diary knew you would do this. It predicted your gesture, your impulse, your exact instinct to lift the key to the light before you consciously decided to. You swallow. The cabin seems to lean in around you, like the walls want to see the next page as badly as you do. You rise slowly, brushing your palms against your jeans. You place the key on the table beside the diary. The metal clicks softly, but the sound echoes unnaturally long, like the cabin is replaying the noise back to you on loop. The diary waits. You stare at it. It stares back. Metaphorically. Hopefully. You reach out and flip to the next page. This time, the ink doesn't write slowly. It surges across the paper like a tide. The key belongs to the first reader. The one who began the cycle. The one who wrote your path. The one who vanished. Your eyebrows rise despite the dread thrumming beneath your ribs. Cycle, you whisper. What cycle? I didn't sign up for a membership. The diary, rude as always, responds instantly. You signed the moment you opened me. Well, that's great. Exactly what you needed. Another subscription you didn't know you had. You flip the page again, faster, your breath hitching as more ink travels down the next sheet. Long before you, others found this diary. Some by accident. Some by destiny. All by consequence. There's a faint scratch at the cabin door. You freeze. You listen. Nothing. Then, you hear something outside. But you pretend you don't. Hey, at least the diary gets your coping mechanisms. You take a slow step back from the table. Your muscles tense. Your ears strain for another sound. Another scratch comes, soft, dragging, almost thoughtful. You tell yourself it's an animal, a raccoon maybe, a deer, a forest creature living its best life, something adorable and not at all eldritch, something fluffy, ideally. But the cabin door handle rattles. A polite, exploring little rattle. Like someone testing it. Like someone wanting to come inside. Your breath stutters as the diary spills more ink. Do not open it. Not yet. Oh, good. Good, good, good. You take a careful step away from the door. The handle rattles again, more insistent this time. You're debating whether hiding under the table is a reasonable move for someone your age when the handle abruptly stops. The silence afterward feels too clean, too quick, like a breath held by something that doesn't need to breathe. You keep your eyes locked on the door, half expecting it to swing open. But it doesn't. The woods outside go still. The kind of still that makes every warning instinct in your body sit up sharply. You force yourself to glance back at the diary. More writing blooms across the page, calm and cruel. You cannot outrun what knows your name. You blink. Your name. The diary doesn't know your name. Oh. You look down. Your name appears, written in the same dark ink, clear as anything you've ever read. Your stomach drops. You whisper, "That's not funny." The diary disagrees. It was never meant to be. A tight line of ink forms beneath the words, underlining the sentence with unsettling finality. You don't touch the next page. You don't want to. But you do. Because of course you do. The next line appears before you even finish turning the paper. The first reader wrote your beginning. You must find the place they ended. A faint crack echoes overhead. Just the roof settling, you tell yourself. Just the wood cooling. Just the universe laughing at your life choices. You slip into a slow breath. Another. You're not panicking, you're staying observant, curious, alert, a perfect mixture of brave and foolish. You glance toward the corner where the floorboard was loose, the hollow space yawning like a quiet mouth. You half expect more objects to crawl out of it. Instead, the diary writes, "The key leads to the next truth, but you must choose to take it. I will not force your hand. Not yet." You stare at the key again. It gleams faintly, like it's breathing, like it wants to be held. You pick it up slowly, hesitantly. Its weight shifts in your palm, adjusting to you, recognizing you. A whisper brushes past your ear, too soft to decipher, too cold to ignore. You whirl around, but there's nothing but the half-rotten window frame and the darkness pressing its face to the glass from outside. Your pulse taps against your throat. You look back to the diary. 3 new words appear. Take it outside. Your grip tightens around the key. You swallow. You circle around the table. When you step toward the door, the floorboards creak sharply, like they're objecting to your decision. You pause, one hand on the handle. The air on the other side feels heavier than the air behind you. You open the door anyway. Cold forest wind rushes in immediately. It swirls around your ankles, tugging at your clothes, brushing your hair back with fingers far too confident. The trees stand tall and silent, their branches tense as if caught mid-movement. You step out. The forest doesn't feel like the same forest you entered earlier. The colors are muted, the shadows longer, more invested in where you go. You close the door gently behind you. You hold the strange key in your palm. Nothing happens. For a moment. Then the diary's voice, silent, but felt nudges at your mind again. Walk. You will know where. You turn toward the path. The key pulls in one direction. Not dragging, not vibrating, but subtly leaning, as though aligning itself with something ahead. You step forward. The forest accepts your weight like it's been expecting this moment. Leaves rustle overhead, and the wind sighs, carrying a scent like distant fire and something older, something like forgotten ink and paper. You walk deeper, each footstep bending the grass, each breath releasing little clouds of cold night air. The key guides you gently, insistently, drawing you past the trees, past the stream you barely remember crossing, past the point where your phone lost all signal, past the point where any normal person with a sense of self-preservation would have turned around. You don't turn around, because you need to know. You need to see. You need the next truth. Behind you, the cabin sits still and silent. Ahead of you, the dark stirs. And the key grows warmer. The key warms slowly, like a pulse syncing with your own, steady, quiet, almost soothing if you ignore the part where it definitely should not be doing that. You trail deeper into the forest, the trees leaning closer overhead, as if forming a cathedral of branches above you. Shadows ripple on the ground, long and fluid, shifting in a rhythm that doesn't match the wind. The forest path widens, but not in any natural way. It's as if something walked this trail long before you, something tall, deliberate, and far less concerned with staying hidden. You swallow, feeling your breath catch in the cold air. The scent out here is different, no longer just pine and earth, but something faintly burnt, a little metallic, like the echo of old secrets. The key grows warmer. A soft hum touches your fingertips. You pause, raising the key slightly, careful this time, because the diary's warning still lingers in your mind. The key isn't reacting to light. It's reacting to direction, like a tired compass with one very specific destination. You move forward again. The forest grows quieter with every step. Too quiet. Even the birds have the good sense to be somewhere else. You pass under a fallen log arched like an old doorway. Your breath fogs in front of you in slow clouds. A part of you wants to make a joke, something about how you wish your cardio capacity was better before you started chasing mystical objects through forbidding forests. But even your inner comedian has gone very still. The path narrows again, but the air grows clearer, sharper, charged with something expectant. You step over a root, twisted like a grasping hand, and brush past a curtain of ferns. The ground dips, leading you into a small clearing. The moment you step into it, your skin prickles. Because you've been here before. Not physically, but in dreams you half remember, the ones you wake from with the unsettling feeling that you forgot something important the moment you opened your eyes. In the center of the clearing stands a stump, weathered, split through the middle, carved with deep lines you don't understand. You take a breath and step closer. The key warms again, this time radiating heat in a steady, gentle throb. You hold it near the stump, and instantly, the carved symbols shimmer faintly, reacting as if recognizing the object in your hand. A low hum rises from beneath your feet. Vibrations whisper through the soil, through the air, through your bones. You tense. The key grows hot. You flinch and nearly drop it, but you don't. Something anchors your fingers around it, a strange mixture of instinct and something else, something older. Lines of ink bloom across your mind. Not written in the diary, but as if the diary is speaking directly into your thoughts. Place it. Your throat tightens. Your hand moves almost on its own, lowering the strange key into the crack at the center of the stump. It fits perfectly. Too perfectly. The moment metal touches wood, the world shifts. A pulse of cold bursts from the stump, rippling outward in a silent shockwave that bends the ferns around you and sends a shiver racing up your spine. You stumble back, breath caught in your chest. Then the stump begins to change. The carved symbols glow faintly, soft golden light, warm as candle flame at first, then deepening into an amber hue that paints the clearing in shifting shadows. Your heart thuds painfully against your ribs. The key sinks deeper, not by gravity, by intention. You watch, rooted to the spot, as the stump exhales a thin stream of pale mist. The mist curls upward like a serpent, cool against your skin as it drifts closer. You hold your breath, unsure whether to step away or lean in. The mist swirls around your face, gentle, searching, before dissolving with a soft whisper you can't decipher. A whisper that feels like a word spoken in a language you should have remembered but never learned. Suddenly, the stump cracks sharply. A hidden compartment opens at the base, revealed by a sliver of light. Your breath escapes in a shaky exhale. You kneel slowly, careful not to touch anything that looks even vaguely enchanted or hungry. Inside the compartment lies another object. Another wrapped bundle. Smaller than the key. Soft. Fragile. You reach in. Your fingertips brush cloth, cooler than the surrounding air, as if it's been waiting in darkness for someone bold enough or foolish enough to find it. You lift it into your hands, holding it carefully. The bundle is light, feather soft, but the weight behind it, the implied meaning, is heavy. You unwrap it. The cloth unfolds delicately, revealing a small, worn notebook. Not the diary you found in the cabin. Not as old. Not as thick. More personal. More secret. The cover is cracked in places but bears no marks. No name, no initials, just a single scratch across the surface, straight and precise, like someone dragged a blade across it on purpose. You open it slowly. Inside, the first page contains a single sentence, written in hurried, uneven ink. If you're reading this, I didn't make it out. Your breath holds. You turn the page. The handwriting shifts, still the same person, but now more steady, like they forced themselves calm. I was the previous reader. The diary chose me. It shows each of us our end. Every possible version. But it also shows a way out. Or I thought it did. You swallow hard. Your pulse pounds in your ears. Your hands tremble slightly as you flip to the next entry. The diary doesn't just predict us. It shapes us. It writes what we will do, as easily as I write these words. At first, I tried to resist. I learned too late that resisting only makes it rewrite. Faster, stronger. A chill ripples down your spine. You read on. I followed its clues deeper into the forest, just like you are doing now. If you feel the key getting warmer, you're already too far in. But maybe that means you're close. Closer than I ever was. You clench the edges of the notebook. Your breath turns shallow. Your heartbeat uncomfortably loud. Another page. The stump is a lock. The key opens it. But what it reveals will only help you if you understand what it wants. You whisper, "What does it want?" Your voice sounds too small in the clearing. A new line forms on the page, not written by the previous reader. Written now, ink forming as you watch. It wants you to keep going. You freeze. Cold fear wraps around your spine like twisting vines. You flip desperately to the next page, blank. Then another blank. Another blank. Until the last page, where just one sentence waits. You won't survive unless you find the first reader's final words. The notebook snaps shut in your hands with a soft thump, not by wind, not by accident, by intention. You stare around the clearing, breath trembling. The trees have leaned closer, listening, waiting. The ground hums faintly beneath your feet, and the key, still lodged in the stump, glows with a slow, eerie light. Then a new pulse of ink appears in the diary back at the cabin. Not that you can see it from here, but you feel it like a thought pressed into your mind. You are not alone in these woods. Hurry. You lift your head. Your pulse spikes. Shadows shift at the edge of the clearing. Not wind. Not animals. Something deliberate. You clutch the notebook and step back. Something moves between the trees. Slowly, patiently, closing the distance. So you run. The forest swallows your footsteps. The clearing disappears behind you, and the path ahead waits, twisting deeper into the dark. You try to shake off the unease, but the strangeness clings to you like static. You pace the room, half convinced you're simply overtired, until the floorboard near the desk pops sharply, exactly as written in the newest line. You freeze. The diary lies open, though you're certain you declosed it. Another line forms, faint at first, then darkening as though pressed by an invisible hand. He inches closer, unable to stop himself. And before you can think, your feet are already moving, drawn toward the book as if responding to a prompt you didn't give. The air feels charged, expectant, like the moment before a storm breaks. Your fingertips hover above the page, and the moment your shadow falls across the ink, the writing halts mid-sentence, as though whatever force guides it is waiting for you. A low draft slips through the room, carrying the smell of dust and something older metallic, like the tang of old keys or forgotten attic hinges. The unfinished sentence trembles, then slowly completes itself, and when he finally touches the diary, it will no longer be only observing him. A pulse of cold runs up your arm. The lamp flickers. For a breathless instant, the room feels too still, like the diary is holding its breath with you. Then the pages flutter on their own, riffling through dozens of entries you've never seen, stopping on a blank page that seems impossibly deep, like staring into a well. Something is waiting there, watching. And before you can pull your hand away, the page starts to ink a new line, your name written with startling certainty. Your name stretches across the top of the blank page with deliberate strokes, as if the diary has spent years learning how to write it perfectly. Before you can process the sight, another line appears beneath it, short, clipped, urgent. He thinks he can still close the book. Your throat tightens. You snap the cover shut on instinct, but the pages resist, soft yet impossibly firm, like pushing against water that won't give way. With a final shove, you manage to seal it, but the air around you hums in disapproval. Something in the room has shifted, subtly but undeniably. The temperature dips, the shadows lengthen, and you get the sense that the diary isn't finished. A soft tap echoes behind you, then another. You turn slowly. The diary sits obediently on the desk, yet tiny vibrations ripple across its cover, as though words are still being written inside, forcing the leather to twitch with each stroke. The tapping grows steadier, almost rhythmic, like a heartbeat muffled beneath the thick cover. You edge closer, each step careful, wary, not because you expect the diary to leap at you, but because you're terrified it might open on its own. The vibrations intensify as you reach the desk, jittering pens, rattling a paperclip until it skitters off the edge. Then, with a soft sigh of leather, the diary loosens its own clasp. You don't touch it. You don't even breathe. Yet the cover lifts the tiniest fraction, just enough for a thin line of light to escape from within, pale, cold, and wrong, like moonlight filtered through deep water. The pages rustle. One flips, then another. The book settles on an entry dated tomorrow. You watch, rooted to the spot, as new words spill across the page in real time, forming a chilling heading. Events he will try and fail to prevent. Below it, the first bullet point writes itself calmly, almost politely. He reads this line. The ink keeps forming, deliberate and unhurried, as though the diary knows you can't look away. A second bullet appears beneath the first, etching itself into the page with unsettling grace. He stays in the room too long. Your stomach drops. You take one small step back, just one, because you're not about to let a haunted notebook think it's calling the shots. The floorboard underneath your heel creaks far too loudly in the stillness, like it's tattling on you for trying to leave. A third bullet forms. He considers running. You whisper, "I'm not considering anything," even though you absolutely are. You're practically drafting your escape plan in your head, complete with optional window dive if the door betrays you. But the diary, rude as ever, continues writing. He assumes there is an escape. That line stops your breath cold. Because for the first time since the tapping began, you look up from the desk and notice something is wrong with the room. The shadows have shifted, Not subtly, not politely, but dramatically. The corners are deeper than they should be, stretching inward like ink spilled across fabric. The overhead light has dimmed to a muted amber, flickering at the edges in a too slow, too liquid way that makes you suspect it's not actually electricity anymore. And the door you just mentally promised to sprint through, isn't where you remember it. You turn in a slow circle. Your pulse trips. Your throat tightens. Because somehow, impossibly, your room now has no door at all. Just wall, smooth, unbroken wall. A fresh line of ink glides into view, elegant and smug. He notices the first change. You grip the desk, knuckles whitening, trying to stay grounded in something solid. The leather cover trembles beneath your fingertips as though delighted you're touching it, like it's been waiting for exactly this moment, this contact, this surrender of proximity. You jerk your hand away. The diary flips a page on its own. Another date appears, still tomorrow, still taunting. Stage 2 begins. You whisper, "Stage what now?" But the room answers before the diary does. A soft breath of cold air brushes the back of your neck. Not the playful kind your friend uses when they're trying to spook you. This one feels older, heavier, almost curious. You spin around, and for a split second you catch movement in the rippling shadow. Not a person, not quite. It's a shape that makes no sense at first glance, too tall, too narrow, then too wide, as if it's adjusting, learning the limits of existing in your space. Your heart bangs against your ribs like it wants a transfer to another body. Behind you, a new line forms. He is not alone anymore. The shadow stretches closer, slow and patient, like it has all the time in the world. And unfortunately, according to the diary, it probably does. The shadow drifts along the wall, sliding with a weightless glide that doesn't match the heaviness you feel in the air. It keeps its distance, barely, but you sense it testing you, tracking how quickly your breath shortens, how your shoulders tense, how your eyes dart for exits that don't exist anymore. You edge backward until your hip bumps the desk. The diary responds instantly, as though enjoying the contact through you. A new line appears. He retreats to the familiar. You mutter, "It's a desk, not a sanctuary," but you don't move away. The wood, the papers, the stupid pen that keeps rolling from vibrations. It's the only normal thing left in the room. The shadow flickers again. Not closer, not larger, just sharper. Cleaner edges. More confident definition. As if it's focusing. You swallow hard. Nope, no thank you, absolutely not. But refusing reality doesn't stop it. The shape sways, thinning, widening, elongating in a slow, steady, rippling motion that reminds you of ink dispersing into water. Behind you, the diary continues its smug little performance. His denial phase peaks. You glare at the page. If you could not narrate my breakdown in real time, that would be spectacular. The diary, because of course, writes again. He attempts humor. "Okay, that's rude," you whisper. The room grows colder. This time, when the cold touches your skin, it lingers. A soft, deliberate pressure glides along your forearm, as though someone is brushing frost-bitten fingers across your sleeve. You freeze, not metaphorically, genuinely, because your muscles refuse to obey you for a full heartbeat. Then very slowly, your arm warms back up. The sensation withdraws. You don't dare look at the shadow, but your peripheral vision betrays you. It has moved. Not by much. Just enough that you would have noticed even if you blinked. A new entry bleeds across the page. Stage 2, initial contact. You try to swallow, but your throat doesn't cooperate at first. When it finally does, the sound is absurdly loud in the quiet room. "I don't want there to be stages," you whisper. The diary flips back one page. Your stomach sinks before you even read what it's showing you. There, in your own handwriting, the handwriting from your dream, the prophecy is clearer, bolder, no longer faded. He meets what watches. The ink pulses once like a heartbeat. You take an involuntary step backward, but there's nowhere to go. Your shoulders hit the wall that used to hold your door. The wallpaper's texture feels unfamiliar under your palms, smoother, almost damp, like it's breathing faintly beneath your fingers. You jerk your hands away. The shadow shifts again, this time unmistakably closer. You can see its outline now, a vaguely humanoid form that refuses to settle into one shape. Shoulders rise then dip, limbs lengthen then retract, as if it's not mimicking a person, but studying one. A subtle hum vibrates through the floor. Not sound. Not really. More like a pressure, a presence you can't push out of your awareness. The diary writes in a slow, curling script. "He is seen." You whisper, "By what?" But the question isn't answered in words. It's answered when the shadow tilts its head. There is no face, no eyes, just depth darker than the rest of it, like an absence where features should be. But you know with bone-deep certainty that whatever it is looking straight at you. And then, in the softest tone imaginable, something like a whisper forms at the edge of your hearing. Not from the diary, not from the room, from the shadow. A single syllable, rasped through a voice not meant for air. "Are you?" Your heartbeat stumbles. The diary writes again, without hesitation. A recognition achieved. And though you don't fully understand what that means, you know enough to understand one thing. This, whatever it is, has been waiting for you. The whisper hangs in the air long after the sound itself fades, like it's clinging to your name, even if it didn't say it outright. You press your back harder against the wall, even though the wallpaper feels wrong beneath you, smooth in some places, soft in others, as though it isn't fully solid anymore. The shadow tilts its head a fraction further. It's subtle, but unmistakably curious. Curiosity, you decide, is far more dangerous than hostility. Hostility you can dodge. Curiosity means it's studying you, maybe deciding what you are. You try to keep your breathing slow, soft, manageable. ASMR-level breathing, if you will. but every inhale is shaky, and every exhale sounds like you're trying not to scream. Behind you, the diary scribbles another line with a flourish. He experiences destabilization. "I'll destabilize you," you mutter at it, though you don't sound convincing to yourself. The shadow stirs. Not walking. Walking would imply legs. It moves more like smoke caught in a draft, a seamless glide that brings it 2 feet closer in a blink. You swear you didn't see the transition. One moment it was across the wall, the next it's well within what any reasonable person would call personal space. Your knees soften, and you force yourself upright again. You're not about to collapse in front of a cosmic inkblot. The whisper returns. Close. It's barely sound, more like a thought someone places too near your ear. "No, thank you," you whisper. "I'm good right here, thanks." The diary reacts instantly, the ink practically dancing across the page. He attempts polite refusal. "Oh, come on." You snap your attention back to the shadow, because if you look away too long, who knows what it'll try next. You watch as its form ripples again, shifting like it's adjusting to the room's gravity. It leans forward, not bending, not stooping, just tilting like its entire shape is one piece of fluid darkness. The air thickens. You can feel it, dense and humid around your throat, like the atmosphere itself is waiting to see what you'll do. Then, something touches your ankle. Not a hand, not a claw, not anything with a shape you can name. It's like a cold ribbon of air curls around your skin, sliding upward with deliberate slowness. You freeze completely, incapable of even twitching, because your mind is still trying to categorize the sensation and failing. The shadow isn't touching you. The room is touching you. A low, almost contented sound hums through the walls, vibrating through your spine. The temperature drops another few degrees, enough to fog your breath in front of you. The diary writes, "Physical proximity accepted." Accepted by who? You hiss. A slow pulse of movement expands through the shadow, like a breath. Then, impossibly, a second one. The darkness compresses and releases in rhythm, mimicking human respiration, but with none of the warmth or life behind it. It's breathing with you, not matching you, forcing you. You try to change your inhale tempo, but your chest refuses. You try to hold your breath, but the pressure in the room pushes your lungs open anyway. The shadow's next whisper is quieter, closer, unmistakably intentional. Stay. Your heart plummets straight to your shoes. The diary flips another page, landing on a crisp, blank one that instantly begins filling with text. A title appears at the top. Stage 3, Compliance. You shake your head. Nope, no compliance. Zero complying happening tonight. The shadow lifts, just slightly, from the wall. It gains depth, volume, as though something inside it is beginning to unfold. Your throat tightens instinctively. And then, a shape extends from the dark mass. Long, smooth, indistinct. Not a limb, not an arm, just an expression of direction. It reaches toward your face. You react without thinking. You shove off the wall, stumbling sideways, nearly tripping over the desk chair. The sudden motion startles the room. The temperature spikes upward, objects rattle. The floor seems to pulse with a frustrated thud. The shadow jolts, not backward, but sideways, like a startled animal composed of smoke and night. You use the moment to scramble several feet away, breath coming fast and ragged. But you don't get far. The wall behind you shifts, yes, shifts, with a wet, sliding sound, closing in half an inch, just enough to remind you the room is watching too. The diary snaps, open to the center. A single line writes itself with extraordinary calm. He attempts escape. And then a second line appears beneath it, slower, colder. He does not understand the rules yet. The shadow turns toward you again. This time, it doesn't glide. It steps. One movement. One soundless step. And the room feels suddenly, terrifyingly smaller. The shadow's first real step is almost silent, almost. There's a faint, velvety thump, like a heavy curtain settling into place. It shouldn't have weight. It shouldn't have mass. And yet the floor groans under it, as though something substantial has joined you in the room. You choke on a breath you didn't mean to take. The diary reacts immediately, script curling across the page with unsettling softness. He witnesses materialization. You swallow. Yeah, thanks, very helpful. The shadow takes a second step. This one is clearer, firmer. It's learning how to be here, how to move, how to use the space. You inch sideways, slow as a drifting leaf, because sudden movements seem to excite the room. And frankly, you're on thin ice with both the decor and the cosmic visitor. Your shoulder brushes the bookshelf. The moment you touch it, the entire shelf trembles, books shivering in place like prey animals sensing a predator. You whisper, sorry, sorry, like apologizing to furniture is your new coping mechanism. Another step. This time the shadow's form shifts, shoulders narrowing, back straightening, height adjusting. It's not imitating you. It's calibrating itself to you. Your pulse thumps against your ribs. The diary writes. Recognition progresses to alignment. That sounds terrible. No one wants to align with a shadow that pours out of a haunted diary and makes your walls breathe. You press closer to the bookshelf anyway, even though every object there seems mildly traumatized. One paperback slides a fraction closer to the edge, as if trying to escape. The shadow halts. It tilts its faceless head again, listening. You aren't sure what it's listening for, but every instinct in your body is screaming at you to stay perfectly still, like a kid pretending to be a statue during hide and seek, except the stakes are cosmically higher, and the seeker might not understand the difference between finding and keeping. A whisper forms, closer this time, just behind your left ear, though nothing is there. Why run? A spike of cold electricity shoots down your spine. You turn your head a millimeter, just enough to look without moving your feet. The shadow is only a few strides away now, close enough that the air between you feels disturbed, like its very presence warps the temperature. You force a small, brittle laugh. I mean, historically, running works sometimes. The diary scribbles smugly. He maintains humor inappropriately. You scowl at it. You're not my life coach. But the page was already predicting a reaction. It flips itself before your words even settle in the air. A fresh entry appears, as if anticipating the exact beat of panic rising in you. He has not yet realized the intimacy of prediction. You stare at the sentence, at the curling ink, at the way the letters almost shimmer. What does that even? A soft sound interrupts you. A breath. Not yours. Not the room's. The shadow inhales. Not like a person. Like something experiencing air for the first time. Tentative. Testing. Savoring. And then it exhales, and the temperature drops enough that your next inhale stings your throat. You grasp for any part of the room still loyal to you. Your gaze lands on the window. Except there is no window. Just like the door, it's gone, erased into smooth, unbroken wall. Nope, you whisper. Absolutely not. We're not doing funhouse geometry tonight. The shadow gives a faint, tilt-shift twitch, as if amused. Your legs twitch with the urge to run, even though there's nowhere to run to. The room pulses again, just once, as if acknowledging your panic. The diary writes something slower this time. Deliberate. As though the ink is thinking. Stage 3 intensifies. He must choose proximity or defiance. You stare at it. Proximity to what? The answering whisper comes from directly in front of you. So close you feel the vibration of it skim your cheek. Me. Your body jolts. You stumble sideways, heart launching a personal escape attempt, but the wall shifts subtly to stop you, nudging you back into the room's center. The shadow steps again. Closer. Close enough that the edges of its darkness blur into your peripheral vision. Then it pauses. Not out of hesitation. Out of expectation. Waiting. Waiting for you. The diary flips another page with a sharp snap. A single line emerges. He makes his first real decision. The shadow leans in by the smallest possible degree. The air thickens. Your pulse hammers. And the room holds its breath. The room waits. So silent you swear you can hear the particles in the air debating whether to keep floating. Your throat tightens. Your palms sweat. You are one very human heartbeat away from doing something spectacularly unwise. And then you do what any reasonable person in a doorless, windowless, breathing room with a sentient shadow and a prophetic diary would do. You stall. Ah, you whisper, can I get like a menu of options? The shadow doesn't move, but something in its posture sharpens. There's no face, but you feel an unmistakable shift in its attention. A soft focusing, like it's leaning closer without actually moving. The diary, delighted by your indecision, writes quickly. He delays the inevitable. Look, some of us cope through procrastination, you mutter. But the room doesn't laugh. The room doesn't move. It tightens. Not in a physical sense. There's no collapsing of walls or shrinking of space, but the atmosphere compresses around you, like the air itself wants an answer. The shadow takes another step. This one is the clearest yet. Defined, balanced, purposeful, like it has mastered walking, like it has mastered approaching you. Your pulse climbs high enough to require a seat belt. You take a careful half-step backward. The room tolerates it, barely. The shadow responds with a half-step forward. Oh, good. Mirroring. That's never been a red flag in horror. You raise both hands instinctively, palms out. I'm going to be extremely honest right now, you whisper. I do not want proximity. The shadow freezes mid-motion. The air pulses just once. The diary writes. He chooses defiance. You blink. I didn't choose that. I mean, I did, but I didn't choose it dramatically. It was more of a gentle boundary. But the ink ignores your commentary. New lines appear slowly, each stroke deliberate, ceremonial. Stage 3 outcome. Resistance acknowledged. A cold wave washes through the room, sweeping over your shoes like a tide made of winter. Something changes in the shadow. It straightens. Not like a human straightens, but like someone smoothing a blanket. Its edges sharpen. Its height expands by a subtle degree. It seems less amorphous now, more intentional, more real. And its next step is silent. Completely silent. You don't hear it. You feel it. A pressure against the air, a shift in gravity, a ripple across the floorboards. Then, a sound. A whisper, but not from the shadow this time. From the wall behind it. A soft, wavering murmur, like someone speaking through fabric. Why resist? Your breath stutters. There's something in the wall. No. Something become the wall. You take another step back, and for a brief, blissful second, the space does not push you. You almost relax. Almost. Until the sound travels again, moving along the wall like a voice inside wet plaster. You were chosen. Yeah, that's going to be a no from me, you whisper. The shadow tilts its head. At the exact same time, the wall trembles. Oh, great. They're friends, or siblings, or parts of the same nightmare ecosystem. Your heartbeat becomes a frantic drummer audition. The diary flips to a fresh page, faster than before. Ink splashes into place, forming bold, confident text. A recognition complete. Then another line. Resistance strengthens the bond. I'm sorry, the what now? The shadow moves. Not toward you. Around you. It circles, slow and smooth, as if mapping your outline, memorizing your height, your warmth, your shape. Every time it passes near you, the air cools a few degrees, like its presence draws heat from your skin. When it completes the circle, it stops directly in front of you again. But this time, it lifts something. A shape. A limb. An arm-like extension forming out of shadow, thin at first, then thicker, coalescing into something that might become a hand eventually. Your spine becomes a steel rod. It doesn't touch you. It just holds that limb shape out, extended between you and the diary, hovering in a gesture that is unmistakably communicative. Not harmful, not aggressive, just expectant. The diary scribbles with a sudden flourish. He is offered exchange. You whisper, exchange what? The shadow's limb shifts slightly, open, waiting, like an invitation. The room leans in. The walls hum. Everything holds still. Even your breath. Your next action. Your next inch of movement will define something the diary seems all too eager to write down. The shadow waits. The room waits. The ink waits. And for the first time, you realize, whatever happens next, the rules aren't being followed. They're being written. The shadow's outstretched limb stays perfectly still, far too still, like it's holding its breath even though it doesn't breathe like anything alive. You can feel the weight of the moment pressing down on your shoulders, the air thickening around your ribs, every molecule waiting to see if you're about to extend your own hand in return. You absolutely are not. You tuck your hands firmly behind your back like a stubborn child refusing to share. The shadow tilts its head again. The gesture isn't menacing. It's inquisitive. But inquisitive in the way a biologist might study a bug that suddenly learned a new trick. You swallow. No deal. Your contract terms are unclear. The diary wastes no time responding. Ink spills forward in smooth, unhurried strokes. He refuses the invitation. That's right, you whisper. Firm boundaries. The shadow retracts the limb slightly, not fully withdrawing, but shifting it, rotating it with a liquid grace that suggests it's not bound by bones or joints. As it adjusts, its form flickers, like a candle flame caught in the smallest draft. The walls respond with a low groan. Not threatening. More like disappointment. Great. You're being guilt-tripped by architecture. The diary scribbles again. Bond tension detected. I am not bonding with anything in this room, you hiss under your breath. But the room disagrees. A gentle vibration hums through the floorboards, rising into your legs. It's not painful, just present, like the house is testing how tightly you're anchored to it. The shadow steps again. This step is slower, more deliberate. It places itself just a few feet away, close enough that you feel the cold radiating from it, but far enough that you could pretend you still have personal space if you squint and lie to yourself. A low whisper, this time directly from the shadow, forms in the air. I choose. I did choose. I chose no. I chose that proudly. The shadow's head lowers a fraction. Not a nod. Not a bow. But the implication is unmistakable. That was the wrong answer. The diary flips a page so violently the sound cracks through the room like a whip. On the clean sheet, the ink scratches quickly, almost angrily this time. Resistance escalates the trial. Trial. What do you mean, trial? You whisper. The room responds before the diary can. A soft ripple passes through the walls. Like a breath. Like a tremor. Like something waking up on the other side of them. You step backward, but the floor shifts subtly beneath your heel, nudging you off balance just enough to make you stumble. You catch yourself on the desk. The diary snaps closed beneath your hand. You freeze. Something presses against the back of your knuckles through the leather cover. A pulse. A heartbeat. Your hand jerks away instantly. The diary reopens itself with a crisp little pop and writes, "Contact established, voluntary or not." I did not volunteer, you whisper sharply. The shadow glides closer, a movement that somehow manages to be both slow and absolute. No stuttering, no hesitation, just pure intention in motion. It stops a foot away. Too close. Your breath fogs the air between you. The shadow's next whisper is softer, but clearer. In touch. No. Unnecessary. Big no. The walls shudder again. Not violently, but rhythmically, as though something is knocking from the other side. The diary writes, "Touch initiates alignment." You shake your head hard. Alignment with what? With you. With the room, with cosmic darkness. I'm good, actually. I'll stay misaligned and asymmetrical forever, thank you. But the shadow lifts its limb again. Not threatening. Not grasping. Just offering. Inviting. And the room grows very, very quiet. Your heart beats too loudly. Then, unfortunately, you make a mistake. You take one tiny step backwards. The wall behind you moves forward that same tiny amount. An exact match. A deliberate correction. The shadow's presence swells, almost like pride. The diary takes its sweet time with the next line. He approaches completion of stage 3. You exhale shakily. I hate the word completion right now. But the ink continues. Only one condition remains. The shadow leans forward. Its limb extends. The room stills. A whisper, impossibly close, curls against your ear. Let me see. See what? Your face. Your fear. Your thoughts. Your future. You don't know. But you do know this. Whatever it wants to see, whatever this final condition is, you won't like the outcome. The shadow's arm reaches the last inch between you. The tips of its darkness hover in front of your chest, waiting, expecting, and the diary, in a slow, curling final line for this moment, writes, he makes the unavoidable choice. The shadow moves. Your pulse quickens as the diary shifts again, less like an object reacting, more like a creature adjusting itself, preparing. The ink on the page you're staring at thickens, darkens, and then, impossibly, drains downward, sliding off the words like liquid. It pools in the center of the page, forming a perfect circle of black so deep it looks like it could swallow light. You don't want to lean closer, but the darkness has a gravity to it, an almost magnetic pull on your attention. Within that ink-black pool, faint shapes begin to stir, shadowy figures moving behind a veil. You blink and they sharpen, outlines of a room, your desk, your chair, your own shape standing exactly where you're standing now. Then the scene inside the ink shifts. Your shadow self reaches out and touches the diary. The moment their fingertips brush the page, the entire image convulses and tears apart into static, as though reality itself screams in protest. The diary snaps shut so violently that the inky pool splatters across your vision like an afterimage burned into your mind. In the ringing silence that follows, a single sentence etches itself onto the closed cover, carving through the leather with soundless precision. Do not repeat his mistake. You stagger back as the carved words fade from glowing ember orange to the natural dull brown of aged leather, as if they were never there at all. The diary sits motionless now, too motionless, like something pretending to be harmless after revealing far too much. The air around you feels charged, thin, almost brittle. You sense, without knowing how, that something has shifted, not in the room but in you. A subtle wrongness, like a thread pulled loose somewhere deep in your thoughts. Then you notice it. The small details. The ones that weren't wrong before. Your chair is angled slightly differently than you remember. The pen you dropped earlier is no longer on the floor. It sits neatly parallel to your notebook. Even the dust on the windowsill looks disturbed, forming a faint, deliberate line, as if traced by an unseen fingertip. The diary hasn't moved, but the room has, or the timeline has, or you have. You reach for your phone on instinct, the need for grounding overwhelming. But when the screen lights up, the date hits you like a blow, 1 day ahead. Not tomorrow's date, the day after. The same day, the shadow version of you vanished into static. Just beneath the date, a notification appears without sound, without vibration, just there, blinking softly. One scheduled reminder from unknown. You open it. It contains only 4 words. He didn't listen either. The reminder vanishes the instant you read it, leaving your screen blank except for your reflection. Pale, wide-eyed, subtly distorted, as though the glass remembers something you don't. You lower the phone slowly, half expecting the diary to react again, but it remains perfectly still, its silence somehow more ominous than its tapping ever was. You take one cautious step backward. The floorboards creak. The ceiling hums faintly. The air feels aware. Then, softly, almost apologetically, the diary slides an inch across the desk. No shudder, no vibration, no theatrics. It moves with the quiet certainty of something that knows exactly where it belongs and is simply correcting an error. A crisp, tearing sound follows. You freeze. It's coming from your wall. A thin, vertical crack opens in the paint, running from the ceiling halfway down like a zipper being pulled. From within the crack spills a faint glow, that same underwater moonlight you saw inside the diary's pages. The crack widens, not breaking outward but peeling inward, as though the room is not splitting but unfolding. You catch a glimpse of something beyond. Shelves, stacks of notebooks, a desk that looks eerily like yours but better organized, cleaner, wrong. Then you see a silhouette sitting at that other desk. A shape that matches your posture, your hair, your outline perfectly. Your breath catches. The silhouette turns its head toward the crack, as if it has been waiting for this exact moment. And on the desk, beside it, lies another diary, identical to yours. Except its cover is already open, pages fluttering in a wind you cannot feel. A voice not spoken aloud, but placed neatly, deliberately into your thoughts, whispers. Choose which one you want to be. The crack widens another inch, the glow spilling softly across your floorboards like moonlit water. You don't move, not because you're frozen with fear, though yes, that too, but because you can feel the room waiting to see what you'll do next. The silhouette, your silhouette, rises from the desk in the space beyond the wall. Its movements are smooth, unhurried, almost tender. You watch it reach out and place its hand atop the open diary beside it, fingers drumming idly on the cover as though testing a rhythm. A rhythm you realize, with a slow tightening in your chest, that you've been matching with your heartbeat. You shift your weight. Its head tilts. You inhale. It inhales. But when you exhale, it doesn't. It just watches. Patient, certain. The crack in the wall peels another inch downward, revealing more of the other room. More notebooks, more shelves, all neatly organized in a way that feels completely unlike your chaotic system of floor piles and desk piles, and I'll deal with that later piles. Then the voice slips into your mind again, softer now, like pages turning underwater. The written self, the writing self, only one moves on. You don't understand the words, not fully, but you understand the choice. It isn't asking you to walk into the other room. It isn't even asking you to pick up your diary. It's asking which version of you gets to keep existing. The one who reads, or the one who is read. The silhouette steps closer to the crack, close enough that you can make out its eyes, your eyes, reflecting a shimmer of silver light. It raises one hand slowly, palm outward, as though offering you something invisible. Your diary responds. It lifts, not jumps, not slides. It simply rises from the desk, as though gravity has loosened its rules. The cover opens midair, pages fluttering. You watch, unable to look away, as new ink scrawls across the central, spread in swift, elegant lines. Your name, your breath, Your next motion. Your next second. And then, one more line, appearing slowly, deliberately, as though the diary wants to make sure you read every curve, every stroke, every final letter. You step forward. The room tightens around you. The crack glows brighter. Your reflection, your duplicate, waits. And you feel your body lean, not because you chose to, but because the page already says you do. The diary tilts downward in the air, angling itself toward your hands like a living thing preparing to settle into its rightful place. Your fingers lift. Your feet shift. Your balance tips. Somewhere deep inside, a tiny, quiet thought struggles to rise above the scripted momentum. Do you really want to follow the sentence that was written for you? But your body continues to move. Forward. Exactly as the diary predicted. The glowing crack spreads wider still, welcoming you into a room where another you waits, and where the story seems ready to finish writing itself. You step forward because the diary says you do, because the room seems to funnel you toward that widening crack, because the other version of you waits with a stillness that feels like gravity. But as your foot hovers above the creaking floorboard, the light from the crack flickers, just once. A small, almost embarrassed hiccup of brightness. The diary freezes Medea. The ink stops flowing. Your duplicate, your reflection that learned how to breathe differently, tilts its head in a way that finally breaks its perfect imitation. A tiny misalignment, a glitch. And the room around you exhales. Curtly, as if surprised that you almost obeyed entirely. You draw your foot back, barely an inch. But the effect is immediate. The diary trembles, caught between two outcomes, one you've already begun to escape, and one it is desperately trying to resume. The voice returns, though it sounds strained now, like paper tearing under too much pressure. The line has been written. You whisper, barely audible, and lines can be crossed out. The crack in the wall shudders, not expanding, not welcoming, shuddering. Your duplicate's expression twitches, the first sign it isn't a perfect copy after all. Its eyes widen slightly, not with shock but with calculation. It raises the diary on its desk, the twin of the one floating before you. You watch its fingers tighten around the spine. And then you understand. That diary writes you. But its diary writes it. A closed loop. A mirrored fate. A system that only works as long as neither version deviates. You just deviated. The ink on the floating diary spasms, splattering in jittery lines as it tries to correct the narrative. Pages flip violently, trying to find a sentence that anchors you. The diary in the duplicate's hand does the same. The two books react to each other like reflections caught in different winds, trying to sync, failing. The crack in the wall pulses. The glow dims, then brightens, then dims again, like a heartbeat trying to decide whether to continue. You take a step backward, only an inch, but the room gasps. Your duplicate takes a step forward. Not a mirror, a pursuer. Its diary slams itself shut with enough force that dust puffs from the shelves behind it. The floating diary in front of you jerks sharply, like a startled bird, and snaps closed as well, though it stays suspended in the air, trembling, as if waiting to see which version of you it should follow. The crack begins to seal. Not smoothly, not gently, but in sharp, frantic little zips, as if the wall is desperate to undo the mistake of opening in the first place. Your duplicate lunges. Not fast, sleepy dreams slow, but with intent. You feel the pull. The narrative trying to reclaim you, to shove you back into the correct line, the predetermined sentence. You whisper again. No. The diary drops out of the air and lands at your feet with a sound that is far too soft for the weight it carries. The crack shrinks to a handspan. Your duplicate reaches it, presses its palm against the narrowing opening, and its fingers distort, flattening like wet paint smeared across glass. It tries to push through, but the wall is closing faster now. You see its eyes one last time, wide, shimmering, pleading not in fear but in anger. Anger that you stepped off the line. Anger that you didn't become the version it needed you to be. Then, SHNNK. The wall seals. Quiet. Perfect. Featureless. Your room is whole again. The diary lies at your feet, still closed, still trembling, but no longer writing. For the first time since you found it. It seems unsure. And you, heart hammering, breath shaking, skin prickled with cold awareness, are finally holding a moment the pages didn't predict. A blank second. A true, unwritten instant. But the quiet doesn't last. Beneath your foot, touching the floorboard near the diary, ink begins seeping upward from the seams of the wood itself, silky, black, deliberate. It curls into letters. Slowly, calmly, as if the story has merely chosen another surface to continue on. 4 words form. You are not done. The ink finishes curling itself into those 4 quiet words, and then it simply waits, like a cat that has delivered a dead bird to your doorstep and is now politely expecting praise. You stare at the message, breath shallow. You don't answer it. You don't need to. The floorboards answer for you. Kriak. Not from your weight. Not from the house settling. From beneath you. As though something is shifting in the crawl space, rearranging itself into a more convenient shape. You step back on instinct. The diary does not move. The ink does not change. But the wood continues to complain, a slow, yawning groan that migrates under your bed, toward your dresser, then arcs around behind you like a predator circling its dinner in a very leisurely stroll. You close your eyes for a moment, gathering whatever leftover courage didn't leak out of you several scenes ago. When you open them, you're half expecting another crack in the wall, or the diary floating again, or your duplicate pressing its face against the glass of reality trying to get back in. Instead, you hear paper. Not the diary. Not the floor. Something else. A drift of soft fluttering, like someone flipping through pages at a polite, library-acceptable speed. You turn slowly, and your stomach drops. Because on your dresser, where there had been absolutely nothing before, sits a stack of journals, all different sizes, all different colors, all aged in different ways, like a display in a vintage shop curated specifically to ruin your night. They are fanned slightly, and the top one is open, pages riffling even though there is no breeze. Each flutter reveals only a fraction of the writing, but every glimpse carries the same uneasy elegance of the diary at your feet. All of them are writing, all at once. You whisper, barely audible, "Nope, nope, nope, nope." You're allowed one joke under extreme duress. It's self-care. You fight the urge to back away again, because retreating hasn't exactly been working out for you tonight. Instead, you stay perfectly still, hoping maybe the journals haven't fully noticed you in whatever identity crisis they're experiencing. But then the topmost one slams shut. Hard. The sound cracks through the room like a gunshot muffled under blankets. Ink begins to spill across its cover. One long, unbroken line, winding and looping until it forms a single sentence. Choose your narrator. You swallow. Hard. Because that's not a warning. And it's not a question. It's the system offering you a role. A place in the structure that your refusal to obey has left vacant. You glance at the sealed wall where your duplicate vanished. You glance at the diary by your feet. You glance at the stack of journals, writing themselves like eager interns. You finally say, quietly, "What does that even mean?" And the room answers. The floorboard behind you pops upward a full inch, as though a fist punched it from below. Another beside it. Another. Ink pours from the gaps like water welling in a sinking ship. It spreads across the wood, dividing, branching, outlining shapes, lines of silhouettes, outlines of faces, empty figures waiting to be filled in. They aren't journals. They aren't diaries. They're people-shaped pages. And they're blank. Waiting. A cold thought slithers up your spine, coiling around your mind with the inescapable weight of truth. You didn't just escape the story. You broke the story. And something is trying to fix the hole you left. The ink stops spreading. Every outline on the floor turns toward you at the same time. No faces, no features, just the unmistakable orientation of attention. Then the top journal on the dresser opens again on its own. Pages flip rapidly, furiously, like it's searching for the exact phrase it needs. It stops. The page goes blank. Then slowly, deliberately, dark letters form. If you do not choose, they will. You feel the air thin. The temperature shift. The outlines begin to rise, lifting off the floor like paper being pulled upward by invisible strings. Their shapes stretch, solidify, sharpen. You whisper, choose what? The ink provides the final answer. Whose life your story continues in. The outlines step closer, silent, blank, waiting for you to decide whether you keep your existence or hand it to something else. The diary at your feet slides an inch toward you. Your duplicate's unseen presence presses softly against the sealed wall. The journals rustle impatiently. The decision you avoided earlier has evolved. Grown teeth, learned how to walk, and now it stands in front of you. The outlines gather in a loose semicircle around you, if you could call it a semicircle when none of them have faces, or limbs defined enough to be human, or even shadows that make sense. They're more like ideas of bodies, tacked together from ink and intention, wavering slightly as though they're still deciding how real they want to be. You inch backward until your heel touches the diary on the floor. It nudges your foot, gently, as if reminding you it exists. For the first time, it feels less like a threat and more like an option. You lift your gaze to the floating shapes. They don't move. They don't breathe. They just wait, perfectly still, as though the next frame of their animation won't play until you make a decision. Okay, you whisper. Everybody just take a deep breath or something. The outlines don't react to the joke. Rough crowd. You lean down and slowly pick up the diary. Its cover warms under your touch like a living pulse, a soft hum vibrating through your palm. It feels eager, too eager. You nearly drop it again. The stack of journals on your dresser begins writing faster, furious rustling, filling the room like a swarm of paper-winged insects. Pages turn themselves. Ink scrawls itself. Titles rewrite themselves. The top journal lifts into the air just enough to tilt toward you, open to a page that shines with fresh, wet ink. Choose the vessel. A second later. Choose the teller. A third. Choose the one who continues. The outlines lean closer, but not in a threatening way, more like students waiting to see who wins teachers' attention. Your pulse hammers in your throat. Your skin prickles. Your thoughts try to run in 7 directions at once. You grab onto the first coherent one. If I choose, what happens to the rest? Ink blooms across the journal's page in answer. They unwrite. The word hits you like cold water. You picture pages ripping themselves blank, memory going soft and grey, whole lives dissolving into unused sentences. You glance at the outlines. They stand patiently, too calmly, too willing to let you make a choice that erases all but one. Your chest tightens. You whisper, "No, I'm not picking someone to erase. That's not happening." The room reacts instantly. The lights flicker. The journals snap shut. The outlines freeze mid-breathless sway, held in some suspended hesitation. The diary in your hand trembles violently, like a heartbeat spiking in panic. Pages snap open so fast you almost drop it. A single line scrawls itself in jagged, desperate ink. Then you choose yourself. Another line. Or the story chooses for you. The floorboards beneath the outlines crack, not breaking apart, but opening downward like trapdoors into pitch-dark nothing. One outline collapses first. It doesn't fall so much as crumple inward, folding into itself like a burning photograph curling to ash. Its ink evaporates as it sinks through the growing gaps in the floor. Silently, effortlessly, unwritten. Your breath leaves your body in a harsh gasp. You clutch the diary tighter, knuckles whitening. The other outlines begin to tremble, rippling like reflections on disturbed water, their edges blurring as the floor widens beneath them. You don't choose. You just stare, frozen, because fear has melted into something worse. Responsibility. The diary forces your hand. Literally. A tendril of ink curls from the center crease, reaches up like a vine, and loops around your wrist. Not painfully, just firmly, guiding, insisting. You try to jerk away. You can't. The ink tightens. Choose. The word spreads across both open pages. Bold. Unignorable. The outlines are dissolving now, slowly, like snow melting under a patient sun. Drifting downward into the cracks with no sound, no protest, no struggle. Like they always knew this was how it ended. Your heartbeat stutters. Your vision swims. No, stop, stop. I'm not letting them vanish because of me. The floor closes beneath one of the half-faded figures, trapping it halfway, leaving its upper form flickering like a dying hologram. The journals open again, all at once. Pages whip in a cyclone of paper until one phrase appears in synchronized ink across them all. If you choose nothing, nothing remains. The diary pulls your wrist upward toward the page. Ink gathers at the tip of your finger like a pen being dipped. The outlines flicker again. One fully gone. Another melting. Two barely holding shape. One turning completely black, like a shadow gaining weight. Time fractures into a thin, fragile moment. This is the last instant before the story collapses, before unwriting becomes irreversible. Your voice breaks as you whisper into the trembling air. I choose. The ink sharpens on your fingertip. The outlines go silent. Every journal in the room leans toward you. The sealed wall hums. The floor stops cracking. Reality holds its breath. I choose. Your fingertip trembles above the diary's open page, still slick with the focused, waiting ink. The room does not breathe. The journals do not flutter. The outlines, those half-born silhouettes, hang in an impossible stillness, as if their very survival hinges on the next sound you make. I choose. The word shatters before you finish it. Not because you choke on it. Not because you lose your nerve. But because something else speaks first. A voice, your voice, cuts through the room from directly behind you. I choose for you. You spin around so fast, the ink splashes from your fingertip, and your knees nearly give out. Your duplicate stands in the center of the room, not behind the sealed wall. Not a shadow, not an outline. It's you, breathing, solid, here, except its eyes are wrong. Too sharp, too bright, reflecting letters instead of light. Wait, no, you stammer, stepping back, clutching the diary tight enough to bend the cover. Your duplicate walks forward, slow, measured, frighteningly calm. You hesitated, it says. Its voice is your voice, stripped of doubt. Stories can't tolerate hesitation. You back into the dresser. Journals rattle violently, opening and closing like gasping mouths. The duplicate continues. You broke the narrative. You left a vacancy. Someone has to take the role. Its gaze slides down to the outlines. 3 left, flickering, dissolving in and out of themselves as the floor yawns hungrily beneath them. The duplicate lifts a hand. Every outline pauses mid-fade. Frozen. Waiting. Your duplicate smiles with your mouth, but not your expression. Since you refuse to choose, it says softly, almost kindly, I'll choose the vessel. No, no, you lunge forward, but the diary yanks your arm back, anchoring you. Ink lashes across your wrist like a living restraint. Your duplicate taps one of the surviving outlines. Just taps. Lightly. Ink floods it instantly. Its blank head tilts back. Its spine straightens. Its limbs snap into proportion like a puppet finding its strings. And then, horribly, it grows features. Your features. Not the duplicates. Yours. Exactly yours. Down to the smallest scar and the faint circles under your eyes. It blinks. Once. Slow. As though waking from a long sleep. You stare. Speechless. Frozen. Your duplicate exhales. There it murmurs. A fresh you, a correct you, a version willing to follow the line. The newly shaped figure turns toward you with a soft smile that imitates yours with unsettling precision. But the duplicate isn't done. It lifts its hand again. The floor beneath the remaining 2 outlines, splits, open. They slide down soundlessly, dissolving into nothing before they disappear completely. Unwritten. You scream, stop. Your duplicate finally looks at you. I'm fixing what you broke, it says simply. You had a chance to choose. You didn't. The new you, your blank-born replacement, steps closer. Its movements are graceful, obedient, scripted. Like it's already reading the line that tells it what to do next. You try to back away, but the diary's ink tightens around your wrist again, holding you in place, insisting. Your duplicate approaches until it stands just a foot from you. You can smell ink. You can feel the air bend around its presence. In every story, it whispers, there is the written self and the one who is written out. The replacement, you takes your other side. Both of them lean in, two versions of you, one too perfect, one too knowing. The floor seals shut behind the last outline. The journals settle. The room stills. Your duplicate lifts the diary's cover with two fingers, guiding your hand toward the page. This won't hurt, it says quietly. And even if it does, the pain won't be written down. The replacement you lays its hand gently over your shoulder, steady, sympathetic, horribly tender. Ink gathers on the empty page beneath your trapped fingertip. Waiting, expecting, ready to write the ending the story wants. Your duplicate whispers, now finish your sentence. The diary drags your finger down, down, toward the first letter of your own unwriting. Your fingertip grazes the page, not touching it fully, just close enough for the ink to reach for you like a tide drawn to the moon. The duplicate watches with an almost tender focus. The replacement you stands at your shoulder, calm, patient, like a friend helping you sign a contract you never read. Your breath trembles. Your arm trembles. The diary does not tremble. It wants this. It's always wanted this. The ink rises in a thin, delicate thread, stretching toward your fingertip. And that's when something impossible happens. Your fingertip jerks. Not you. Not the diary. Something else. A spark, tiny, disobedient, impossible, flares through your mind. Not a thought. Not a memory. A contradiction. A moment the diary never predicted. A wrinkle in the narrative. A glitch you created simply by hesitating long enough. The ink thread snaps. The diary stutters. Like a record skipping. Like reality has caught a cold. Your duplicate blinks sharply, startled. Its first genuine reaction since stepping into the room. You pull your hand back by pure instinct. The diary fights you. Ink whipping around your wrist, tightening. But a second glitch ripples through the page. A line of text, mid-written, unwrites itself. The letters collapse inward, folding back into nothing like burnt paper curling without a flame. The diary spasms in your grip. Your duplicate's voice sharpens. Don't do that. You don't answer. You can't. You're staring at the page, stunned. Because the blank spot, that tiny erased patch, glows faintly. A soft silver shimmer, like moonlight reflecting off something deep underwater. Your replacement self leans closer, peering at the glow with open curiosity. Your duplicate grabs it by the shoulder. Stay back, it's unstable. The replacement you tilts its head, confused. Your heart slams against your ribs. A new thought sparks. If hesitation breaks the story, then disobedience might shatter it. You lift your free hand. Your duplicate steps forward immediately, voice low and dangerous. Don't. You touch the glowing blank spot. Just one fingertip. The room jumps. Not trembles. Not quakes. It jumps. As if every object in it lost its physical coordinates for half a second and snapped back in the wrong place. The dresser shifts 2 inches left. The lamp flips orientation. The bed creaks as its legs realign. Your duplicate stumbles. Actually stumbles. Your replacement self flickers like a glitching hologram. And the diary wails. Not sound. Ink. A ribbon of ink whips across the page, frenzied, terrified, rewriting itself in dozens of overlapping lines. Your duplicate lunges for you. You jerk back. The diary drops from your hand. It lands on the floor and falls through it, as if the wood is suddenly water. A splashless sink. A silent disappearance. Your duplicate stops cold. No, no, no. For the first time, it panics. Ink begins sliding down its wrists, dripping from its fingertips. Without the diary, without the anchor, your duplicate is unraveling. Your replacement self flickers again. Its face freezing, smearing, reforming, as if someone is redrawing you from memory. You back away from them both. They don't follow. They can't. The floor where the diary vanished begins glowing. The same shimmering silver as the blank spot. A circle of light spreads outward like ripples. It stops at the edges of your feet, as if politely avoiding you. Your duplicate's voice fractures. You don't understand. Without the diary, without the line, it can't finish. Its jaw unwrites. Ink spills upward like smoke. Your replacement self reaches for it, and its hand passes straight through. The glowing floor pulses once, twice, then begins pulling them down. Not violently, not cruelly, just inevitably. Your duplicate screams, a sound made of tearing sentences, as it's dragged ankle-deep into the dissolving floorboards. Your replacement self doesn't scream at all. It just looks at you with a soft, sad expression. Your expression, before the glow swallows it whole. The room stabilizes. A silence. No crack in the wall. No floating journals. No living ink. Just the faint silver glow where the diary fell. You stand alone. For the first time. Not written. Not predicted. Not controlled. You breathe. Slow. Unscripted. Yours. Then, from the glowing circle, a single page rises, Not the diary. Just one page. Blank. Completely blank. Except for one line at the bottom, written in your own handwriting. What happens next is your choice. The page drifts upward, toward you, unthreatening, open, waiting. The glow fades. The house settles. Quiet returns, thick and gentle. You exhale, and for the first moment in this entire nightmare, you feel something unfamiliar. Freedom. The room grows still now, as though everything that once moved with such eerie intention has settled into a softer shape, a gentler rhythm. You take a slow breath, and the edges of the space around you begin to blur, the sharp corners softening into deeper shadows, warmer darks, quieter echoes. You can almost hear your heartbeat stretching out, lengthening, easing into something calm and steady. The single sheet of paper floats down, drifting onto your palm like the last leaf of autumn settling on a quiet path. It doesn't ask anything of you now. It simply rests there, weightless, peaceful, a reminder that the story no longer holds you captive. You decide where it goes. You decide whether you keep it, fold it, set it aside. There is no wrong choice. There is no demanded choice. There is simply space and breath and the softness that follows tension slowly unwinding. The floor beneath you warms. The air settles into a low, soothing hush, and the hush begins to spread outward, filling the corners of the room, rounding every harsh memory of what the night held. Even the shadows seem to exhale, loosening their hold, becoming gentle companions instead of looming threats. Your breathing deepens again. Your shoulders lower. Your mind drifts, uncoiling from the tightness of the story. There is nothing left chasing you now. No voice telling you what you must do. No ink tugging you toward a path you didn't choose. Only quiet. Only softness. Only the slow, peaceful dimming of a long night finally releasing you. Let everything fade, gently, like a candle finishing its last flicker. Let yourself drift. Let the story rest. Sweet dreams.